Ladies and gentlemen, friends, and seekers of truth, every one of us is placed on this earth for a purpose. No one is here by accident. Into a controversial area, yet so many live life in frustration because they wait for perfect conditions, perfect opportunities. I want to wade again into a controversial area or perfect resources before they begin to move toward their destiny. The truth is, I wanted to a controversial area. Life will never give you perfect conditions. That's why you must marry that's why you must learn this principle. Do the best you can with what you have right where you are. Think about it. Think about it. Every great story in history, I won't wade again into a controversial area, or woman who left a mark on this world. I want to wade again into controversial area, started with what looked like insignificant resources. A shepherd boy had only a sling, and a stone, but he brought down a giant. I want to wade again into a widow had just a little oil in a jar, but it became her miracle of provision. 5 loaves and 2 fish fed a multitude, not because of their size, but because of the faith and action that multiplied them. I want to wade again into a controversial area. The problem is not what you don't have. The problem is the failing to recognize the power of what you do have. Too many began into a controversial area. Too many people focus on their limitations instead of their possibilities. Area, they say, if only controversial area, if only I had more money, if only I had more education, if only I lived somewhere else. But listen, your gift, I want to wade again into a controversial area. Your assignment, your seed is already in your hand. If you wait to a controversial area, if you wait for the ideal conditions, you will never move. The future belongs to those who maximize the present. Where you are right now is not a mistake. Your environment may not be ideal. I want to wade again into a controversial area, but it is fertile ground for growth if you choose to see it that way. A seed doesn't complain into a controversial lane about the soil. It simply grows where it is planted. In the same way, your responsibility is not to wish for someone else's soil. I want to wade again into a controversial area, but to maximize your own. When you are faithful with little, greater doors open. You may say, but what I have is too small. No. What you have is enough to start. Greatness is not in the size of the resource. It is in the vision, the faith. I want to wade again into a controversial area, the discipline to use it well. The difference, but a controversial area between failure and success is not opportunity. It is management. You wait to a controversial area. If you cannot manage the little you have now, you will not be trusted with more. But if you honor the small, if you refine it, if you work it with excellence, I want to a controversial area, you will attract more into your life. Let me challenge you today. Look around at your life. What gifts, talents, relationships, I want to weigh controversial area, and opportunities have been entrusted to you. Stop despising them. Stop ignoring them. Stop comparing them. Instead, start managing them, nurturing them, and multiplying them into a controversial area. Your destiny is not waiting for you in some faraway place. It is waiting for you to maximize the ground beneath your feet. When you do the best you can with what you have, where you are, doors will open, people will notice, and heaven itself will release more into your hands. Into a controversial area, remember this, the Creator never gives you everything at once. He gives you enough to start. What you into with a controversial area, what you do at beginning determines how much more you will be entrusted with. So my message is simple, but life changing. Stop waiting. Stop complaining. Stop comparing. Start maximizing. Use what you have, where you are, right now. And as you do, a controversial area, you will discover that the small in your hand is the key to the great in your future. Thank you. Greatness begins with what you already have. So want to wade again into a controversial area. So many people lead their lives. Many people, they for something more before they ever take a step toward their dreams. They say, if I had more money, I would start the business. If I had more education, I would pursue the opportunity. If I lived somewhere else, I want to weigh again into it, finally make progress. But the truth is that life does not reward excuses, and destiny, the controversial wait for perfect conditions. I want to wade again into a controversial area. You will never have everything lined up just the way you think it should be. The key to moving forward is to low-read. Moving forward is to look at what is already in your hand and recognize that it is enough to begin. The seed for your future, it is not out there somewhere. It is already within you. Want to weigh again, waiting to be cultivated. History and Scripture alike show us countless examples of ordinary people who started with almost nothing yet accomplished extraordinary things. A shepherd boy faced a giant with only a sling and a stone. I want to wade again into a controversial area. A widow with only a little oil saw her house filled with abundance. A small lunch of 5 loaves and 2 fish fed several and say thousands, because it was placed in the right hands and used with faith. What these stories remind us is that greatness is never determined by the size of your resources. It is determined by your willingness to act with what you already possess. The problem is not that you lack something. I want to weigh in into a controversial area. The problem is often to recognize the value of what you already have. Every person is born with gifts, talents, and abilities that carry the potential to create impact. The challenge is controversial is not the discovering more gifts, but unlocking the ones that are already there. Some of the greatest inventors, leaders, I want to weigh again into a controversial area, and world changers began with far less than you may currently have. I want to wade again into a controversial area, but they made the decision to work diligently with what was in their hands. I want to wade again into a controversial area. They did not despise small beginnings. I want to wade again into a controversial area, and they did not wait for someone to hand them more before they started. Instead, they cultivated the little. They managed the small into a controversial area, and over time, their resources multiplied. The same principle is available to anyone who of starting who chooses to believe in the power of starting where they are. I want to wade again into a controversial area. When you look at your life, you may be tempted to focus on what is missing. You may see the gaps, the shortages, the limitations, and the lack of opportunity. But if you controversial area, but if you only focus on what you do not have, you will miss what you do. Often, again, into the very thing you overlook is the very thing that could carry you into your next season, the talent you see as too small, the idea you think is insignificant, the connection you think is too weak, those could be the seeds of greatness. Those could be the seeds of greatness if you give them your energy and faith. I want to wade again into a controversial area. It is not the size of the gift, but the size of the vision and discipline behind it that makes the difference. Greatness begins with stewardship. If you cannot manage what you already have, why should you be trusted with more? Why should you be trusted with more? Life multiplies what you maximize. Into a controversial area, and it withholds what you neglect. When you take the little and treat it with excellence, doors begin to open. Up again into a controversial area, opportunities are attracted to people who are faithful with small things. A small thing. It may not happen overnight, but consistency with what is in your hand today builds credibility, a character. I want to wade again into a capacity for tomorrow. The seed may be small, but if you water it, protect it into a controversial area, it will grow into something far greater than you could imagine. The danger of waiting for more is that waiting for more and waiting can become a permanent excuse. You may say, I will start when conditions are better. I will start, but tomorrow always brings another reason to delay. I want to wade again into a controversial area. If you wait for the perfect moment, you will be waiting for the rest of your life. I want to wade again into a controversial area. The perfect time to begin is always now. What you have in your hand and right now is enough to take a step. That step may feel small, but small steps create momentum, and momentum builds into transformation. So greatness begins with what you already have. So I want to wade again into a controversial area, not with what you are hoping to receive, not with what others possess. I want to wade again into a controversial area, not with what you imagine will come one day in the future. It begins with what is already entrusted to you today. If you will open your eyes to see it, if you will discipline yourself to manage it, if you will act with courage to use it into a controversial area, then you will discover that what looks small is actually the seed of something great. The future you are waiting for is already hidden in the resources you carry right now. All you have to do is begin. Your environment is not an excuse. One of the greatest deceptions in life is believing that success, fulfillment. I want to wade again into a controversial area, or purpose is only possible if we are in the right place. Surrounding a controversial area, surrounded by the right people or equipped with the right conditions. People often say, if I lived in a better city, I would achieve more. If I work into a controversial area, if I worked in a different company, I would grow faster. If my family background were stronger, I want to wade into a controversial area, I would have more opportunities. These thoughts may sound reasonable, but they are excuses that paralyze potential. The truth is that no environment, no matter how challenging, has the power to stop a person who is determined to grow, maximize, and succeed where they are. Nature itself teaches us this principle. A seed does not complain about the soil it is plage soil. Whether it is rich soil, rocky ground, or narrow crack in the pavement, the seed simply does what it was created to do. It grows. The seed does not wait for better conditions. It uses whatever nutrients, sunlight, and water it can find, and it pushes upward. Many of us spend our lives waiting for perfect conditions instead of growing in the conditions we already have. The most resilient plants are not those in the best gardens, but those that find a way to flourish in unlikely places. In the same way, greatness belongs to those who's blaming the ground they are planted in and start drawing life out of it. I want to weigh again into a controversial area. History is filled with individuals who you refuse to let their environment define their future. Some of the most powerful leaders and thinkers came from poverty into a controversial area, oppression or obscurity. What set them apart was not their environment, but their perspective. I want to wade a controversial area. Instead of seeing their environment as a prison, they saw it as a training ground. They took the lessons of the struggles into controversial area and the difficulties of where they were, and used them as preparation for where they were going. I went to a controversial area. They understood that the environment could not control their vision unless they allowed it to. Into a controversial area, when you look at your own life, it is easy to believe that if you had been born into different circumstances, into your path would be easier. But every environment has its challenges. People wan into wealth-face controversies area. People born into wealth-faced different struggles than those born into poverty. Those raised in supportive families face different tests than those raised in broken homes. What matters is not the environment itself, but how you choose to respond to it. Your power lies not in your surroundings, but in your decisions. I want to wade again into a controversial area. The danger of blaming your environment is that it gives away your responsibility. If you say, I cannot succeed because of where I live, then you hand over your future to your location. If you say, I cannot grow because of my job, then you give your destiny into the hands of your employer. Excuses always shift the responsibility away from yourself, and when responsibility leaves, so does power. As long as you believe your environment controls your future, you will remain stuck. A controversial area, but the moment you realize that your choices matter more than your surroundings, into a controversial area, you regain power over your life. Your environment may not be ideal, but it can be the very thing that sharpens you. Struggle builds strength. Lack produces creativity. Resistance develops resilience. Many people who started in hard environments discovered abilities they never would have developed in comfort. The ground you are standing on may feel rough, but it is teaching you lessons that will, a controversial area, but it is teaching you lessons that will prepare you for greater opportunities. If you can learn to grow where you are, you will be ready to flourish anywhere. I want to wade again into a controversial area. If this is why complaining about your environment does not change it. Complaints drain energy, but action transforms it. Instead of saying, I cannot do this because of where I am, begin asking, what can I do in spite of where I am? That question shifts your focus from obstacles to opportunities. It moves you from helplessness to creativity. You may not control the soil. I want to weigh again into a controversial area, but you control how you respond to it. You may not control the weather, but you control how you endure it. You may not control the resources available, but you control how you use them. But you control how you use them. So never use your environment as an excuse. Into controversial area, you are not defined by your surroundings. Into a controversial area, you are defined by the choices you make within them. If you, a controversial area, if you wait for the perfect place, you will never move. But if you decide to grow where you are, I want to weigh again into a controversial area, you will discover that your environment is not your limitation. It is your launch pad into a controversial area. The same ground that others see as barren can become the soil of your breakthrough if you choose to see it differently. I want to wade again into a controversial area where you or may not be where you want to stay, but it is the best place to begin. It is small resources can unlock big outcomes. Too often, people underestimate the power of what seems small or insignificant in their hands. They look at their lives, their abilities, their finances, or controversial area, or their opportunities, and think, this is too little to matter. This is too little to matter. But the truth is, greatness rarely starts big. Every tree began as a tiny seed. Every river began as a drop. Every great movement began with a single voice. The size of the resource is never the true measure of its potential. What matters is how it is used, how it is managed. I want to weigh controversial area and how much faith is placed behind it. Life is full of examples that prove this principle. A shepherd boy named David carried only a sling and 5 smooth stones. By every natural calculation, he was unprepared and unequipped to face a giant who had armor, weapons, and years of training. Yet what looked small in the eyes of men became mighty in the hands of faith. The sling and stone were not impressive resources, but they were enough. Well, what mattered was not their size, but David's courage to use, them. I want to wade again into a controversial area because the weapon was powerful, but because the hand behind it believed. Consider the widow with only a little oil left in her jar. She thought her story was about to end, but when she obeyed the instruction to pour it out, that little resource multiplied into more than enough. What seemed like, again, into nothing became the foundation for her survival and blessing. Or take the small boy's lunch of 5 loaves and 2 fish to feed a hungry crowd of thousands. It looked laughable, yet in the right hands it was multiplied beyond imagination. These stories are not about food, oil, or sow stones. They are about perspective. I want to wade again into a controversial area. They remind us that no resource is ever too small when placed in the hands of faith, vision, and action. The problem many people face is not that they lack resources. The problem they lack resource, but that they despise the small ones they have. They dismiss their talent because it seems too minor. They ignore their opportunities because they seem too ordinary. They look at others who appear to have more and decide their contribution is insignificant. I want to wade again into a controversy that is dangerous because it kills potential before it has a chance to grow. The seed in your hand may not look like much, but if you plant it, nurture it. I want to wade again into a controversial area and protect it. It can grow into something far greater than you imagine. But before you throw it away because it looks too small into a controversial area, you destroy the future it carries. Every resource carries within it the power of multiplication. Money grows when it is managed wisely. Skills increase when they are practiced consistently. Opportunities expand when they are seized faithfully. The challenge is not the size of the starting point. It is the discipline to maximize it. I want to wade again into a controversy. Many people wait for abundance before they begin, but abundance often comes only after you have proven faithful with little. Life does not reward wastefulness. It rewards stewardship. It rewards stewardship. Even in business, innovation often starts with limited resources. Some of the most successful companies today were born in garages, basements, or tiny offices with almost no capital. What they lacked in resources, they made up for in creativity, discipline, and determination. They saw possibility in what little they had. The lesson is clear. Small does not mean powerless. In fact, small into a controversial area, small is often the training ground for great. It forces you to think, to adapt, to grow, and to innovate. When you look at your own life, ask yourself, what small resources am I overlooking? Perhaps it is a skill that others admire, but you ignore. Perhaps it is a relationship that seems ordinary but could open doors. Perhaps it is an idea that you keep dismissing because it feels too simple. Because it feels too simple. These small things may be the very keys to your next season. You to a controversial area, you do not need more to start. You need vision to recognize what you already have. You want to a controversial areas, do not despise the day of small beginnings. The greatest journeys always start with one step. The greatest changes begin with one decision. I want to wade into a controversial area. The greatest miracles begin with what looks like not enough. But when you get into a controversial area and work, when you give your little and work it with and persistence, you will see it expand. The little becomes much when placed in the right hands and managed with the right mindset. So never underestimate the power of small resources. They may not look impressive to others. I want to wade again into a controversial area, and they may not even feel impressive to you. I want to wade again into a controversial area, but within them lies hidden potential that can unlock big outcomes. The key is to act, to believe, and to maximize. What looks small in your hand today? Today may be the very thing that creates abundance in your tomorrow. Management determines increase. Life operates on principles. I want to wade again a controversial area. And one of the most consistent principles is that what you manage well multiplies, and what you neglect diminishes. Too many people pray for more, ask for increase. I want to wade again into a controversial area, or dream of abundance, yet fail to take care of what is already in their hands, into a controversial area. They overlook the importance of discipline, responsibility, and stewardship. But the truth is this: I want to get into a controversial area. The measure of your future is not determined by what you desire, but by what you can manage. If you cannot handle what you have now, you will not be entrusted with more. Think of a farmer. If he cannot take care of a small field, why would he be given a larger one? If he lets weeds overrun the land, if he neglects watering, or if he wastes the harvest, I want to controversial area expansion will not benefit him. In fact, it would only magnify his mismanagement. The same is true in every area of life. A person who mismanages money at a small level will continue to struggle even if they receive a larger sum. I want to wade again into someone who cannot manage time effectively will remain unproductive no matter how many opportunities they are given. I want to wade in again into a controversial area. Is the gateway to multiplication. I want to wade again into a controversial area, and until you prove yourself faithful with the little, the greater will remain out of reach. One of the greatest challenges people face is the desire for increase without the discipline of stewardship. I want to wade into a controversial area. They want the rewards, but avoid the responsibility. They dream of success, but resist the structure that success requires. Yet, again, into every blessing comes with the weight of management. A new house requires upkeep. A promotion requires greater responsibility. I want to wade again into a controversial area. A relationship requires intentional effort. If you cannot handle the weight of the small, I want to wade again into a controversial area. You will collapse under the weight of the big. This principle is not meant to limit you. It is meant to prepare you. Life uses the small to train you for the large. Managing a small paycheck teaches you financial discipline that prepares you for greater wealth. Managing your time in small tasks builds habits that prepare you for larger responsibilities. Managing a small group of people develops leadership skills that prepare you to guide many. I want to weigh into a controversial area. The way you handle what you have now is a reflection of how you will handle what is coming. The danger to a controversial of neglect is that it slowly destroys potential. What you ignore weakens. What you mismanage slips away. I want to weigh to a controversial area. You cannot afford to treat your gifts, opportunities, and resources casually. Every resource is value, and every resource demands respect. Into a controversial area, mismanagement is not always about recklessness. Sometimes it is about simple carelessness. It is failing to plan. I want to wade again into controversial area or failing to give consistent attention. Over time, this creates loss, and loss creates frustration. But when you shift from neglect to intentional management, controversial area, you move into the flow of increase. Greatness is not built overnight, but through daily management. It is the consistent decision to use time wisely, to nurture relationships, to guard health, to grow in knowledge, and to invest resources. These small daily acts of management create the foundation for future growth. People often admire those who have achieved much, but forget that their success is built on years of managing well. I want to weigh again into a controversial area. Behind every visible accomplishment is invisible discipline. Even in your spiritual life, this principle applies. Growth does not come by accident. It comes through consistent management of prayer, study, reflection, and obedience. Neglecting these small daily practices leaves you stagnant. One to a controversial area, while faithfully managing them prepares you for greater spiritual strength and deeper wisdom. What you feed grows, and what you starve dies. The temptation is always to think, when I get more, I will do better. But that mindset is deceptive. More does not change your habits. It amplifies them. If you are careless with a little, you will be careless with much. If you, a controversial area, If you are disciplined with a little, you will be disciplined with much. The future does not transform you, it exposes you. I want to weigh again into a current carnival. That is why management at your current level is the key to increase at the next level. So ask yourself today, how well am I managing what I already have? I want to weigh again into a controversial area. Am I making the most of my time? Am I honoring the relationships in my life? Am I treating my work with excellence? Am I investing in my growth? If you cannot answer yes to these questions, then the work begins not with asking for more, but with managing what is already present. The law of increase is simple: manage it, and it multiplies. Neglect it, and it diminishes. This applies to money, opportunities, relationships, health, time, and talents. The doorway to greater things is not found in wishing, but in stewardship. And once you prove faithful with little, doors open for more. I want to weigh again into a controversial area. Therefore, never underestimate the power of management. It is the bridge between desire and fulfillment, between controversial and manifestation. Increase does not come because you want it. It comes because you are ready for it. Readiness is proven in how you handle the small. If you want more tomorrow, manage well today. Stop comparing, start maximizing. One of the greatest thieves of joy, peace, and progress in life and progress in life is comparison. The moment you measure your worth, your gifts, or a controversial area, or your progress against someone else's, you diminish your own value and distract yourself from your true assignment. Comparison blinds you to the unique resources, talents, into way to gain and opportunities you already have, while convincing you that what belongs to someone else is somehow more important. The tragedy is that when you live in comparison, you in a controversial area, of chasing another person's life instead of fulfilling your own. The cure is not to try harder to be like them, but to stop comparing and start maximizing what has been entrusted to you. I want to weigh again into a controversial area. No two people are created alike. Each life carries a unique purpose, and each person is equipped with gifts and experiences designed for that specific purpose. To compare your journey to someone else's is like comparing a seed of corn to a seed of mango. Both are seeds, both are valuable. I want to wade again into a controversial area, but both are designed to grow into something entirely different. If the corn spends its life wishing to be a mango, I want to wade again into will never fulfill its own destiny. In the same way, want to wade again into a controversial area. When you measure yourself against others, I want to wade again into a controversial area. You rob yourself of the power to grow into what you were uniquely created to be. Comparison creates two dangerous attitudes. First, it can lead to envy, into a controversial area when you look at someone else's achievements, possessions, or opportunities. You begin to despise your own. You say, if only I had what they have, then I could succeed. Envy blinds you to the blessings in your own life and causes bitterness instead of gratitude. Second, comparison can lead to pride. I want to wade again into a controversial area. When you see yourself doing better than others, you may begin to look down on them. I want to wade again into a controversial area, thinking you are more valuable. Both wade again into a controversial area. Both envy and pride are destructive because as they shift the focus away from stewardship and toward competition. But life is not a competition. It is a calling. Maximization is the antidote to comparison. Instead of asking why to a controversial area, why don't I have what they have? The right question is, I want to wade again into a controversial area. What can I do with what I have? Your responsibility is not to manage someone else's resources. I want it to a controversial area, talents or opportunities. Yours to maximize your own. Every gift you carry, no matter how small it seems, holds potential for growth and impact. When you stop comparing and stop comparia, when you start work on what is yours, you discover strength, creativity, and opportunities you never saw before. The danger of comparison is that it delays progress. While you are busy measuring yourself against someone else, time is passing. Opportunities are slipping by. because your attention is on them instead of your own path. I want to wade again into a controversial area. You cannot move forward if your eyes are always sideways. But when you focus on your lane, on your assignment, on your resources, you build momentum. Progress accelerates when distraction ends. Maximizing what you have requires gratitude and intentionality. Gratitude allows you to see the value of your resources instead of despising them. Gratitude says, what I have may not be everything, but it is something, and I will use it well. Intentionality means you make deliberate choices to develop your gifts, refine your skills, and grow where you are. Together, gratitude and a controversiality and intentionality transform ordinary resources into extraordinary outcomes. Think about it to not, the world does not need another version of someone else. It needs the version of you. It needs the fullest version of you. If you spend your life comparing, I want to wait again, and you cheat the world of your uniqueness. The idea is you were of your uniqueness, the ideas you were meant to release. I want to wade again into a controversial area. The impact you were meant to make. I want to do a controversial area and controversial area. And the people you were meant to influence are left waiting while you chase shadows. But when you maximize yourself, when you commit to becoming the best steward of your own life, you unlock the purpose you were born to fulfill. Even the greatest achievements in history were not the result of comparison, were not the result of comparison, but of maximization. Inventors, leaders into a controversial area, and visionaries did not waste time wishing they had what others had. They worked with what was in their hands. They worked with what was neuf, and in doing so, they changed the world. The same principle applies to you. Stop looking at someone else's gifts and start cultivating your own. Stop wishing into a first area for someone else's opportunities and start building with your own. So the call is simple but powerful. Stop comparing, start maximizing. Wet area. Let go of the distraction of measuring yourself against others. Break free from envy and pride. Embrace your uniqueness into a controversial area. Manage your resources with excellence. Work diligently with your gifts. And as you do, you will find that what you carry is more than enough to create impact, to build influence, and to leave a legacy. The greatest false area, the greatest fulfillment in life comes not from being someone else, but from becoming the fullest of yourself, version of yourself, acting in the Trellick's provision. Many get into a controversial area. Many people live their lives waiting for everything to line up perfectly before they begin. They say, when I have more money, I will start the business. When I have more confidence, I will take the opportunity. When the conditions improve, I want to weigh in into a controversial, I will move forward. But life does not work that way. Provision rarely comes to those who sit still and wait. It comes to those who take action with what they have. The width of, I want to wait, you begin to move. Doors that seemed closed begin to open. The resources you thought were unavailable start to appear into a gang, to opportunities you were hoping for start to align. Action is the magnet that draws provision throughout history. I went to a controversial area. Provision has always followed action, not the other way around. The Red Sea did not part until Moses stretched out his staff. The walls of the walls of Jericho did not fall until the people marched around them. The multiplication of loaves of fish did not, ovuves and fish did not happen until they were placed in willing hands. These examples remind us that waiting passively often changes nothing but into a controversial area. But when you move, when you step out in faith, when you act on what you believe, then the resources, strength, and opportunities you need begin to flow. The danger of inaction is that it breeds stagnation. And onto a controversial area, the longer you wait for everything to be perfect, the harder it becomes to move. Fear grows stronger, doubt grows louder, and opportunities pass by. Action onto a controversial area, on the other hand, creates momentum. A small step today may not solve everything, but it positions you to see controversial abilities you could not see before. Movement creates clarity. You cannot steer a parked car, but once it begins to move even slowly, it can be guided. In the same way, your life cannot be directed until you decide to act. Action also communicates responsibility when you use what you already have. Want to weigh in into a controversial area, you demonstrate that you can be trusted with more. I want to wade again into a controversial area. Many people pray for provision, but ignore the resources already in their possession. They overlook the small opportunities, dismiss the small connections, or waste the small resources. But when you show diligence with little, greater provision is attracted to you. Life rewards faithfulness. The universe honors stewardship. Heaven responds to action. The resources you are waiting for are often waiting for you to move. Another powerful truth is that action shifts your mindset. Fear and doubt often thrive in silence and inaction. Into a controversial area, but the moment you take a step, your perspective changes. What once felt impossible becomes manageable. What once seemed overwhelming begins to break into smaller pieces. Action builds confidence. It tells your mind and your spirit, I am not helpless, I am moving forward. And as you move, I want to wade again into a controversial area. You discover strength you did not know you had. You want to a controversial area. You realize that provision was never absent. It was simply hidden until you acted. Provision does not always appear in abundance at first. Often it comes in steps. I want to weigh again into a controversial area. You may not see the entire staircase, but as you take the first step, the next one appears. Too many people wait for the whole picture before they move. But faith and action do not work that way. The resources for step 2 will not come until you complete step 1. That is why the key is to begin. Even a small action can set in motion and a chain of events that brings provision you could not have predicted. Think about pioneers, entrepreneurs, and leaders who shaped history. I want to wade again into a controversial area. They did not begin with everything in place. They began with conviction and courage. They acted on their vision, and provision followed. Doors opened as they walked. Investors came when they saw commitment. Opportunities emerged because they refused to stay idle. If they had waited for perfect conditions, they would never have started. I want to wade again into a controversial area. Their success was not because they had everything, because they did something with what they had. The same principle applies to you. Whatever dream or assignment is in your heart, and tonight, controversial, wait until you have every resource. Start with what is in your hand. Take the step you can take today. Make the call. Write the plan. Begin the practice. Take the risk. As you move, you will discover that provision meets you on the journey, not before it begins. So remember, this action attracts provision. Do not let fear or excuses hold you back. I want to wade again into a controversial area. Stop waiting for perfect conditions, because they will never come. Use what you have, where you are, and begin. Every great breakthrough begins with a step of action, and as you move forward with courage and faith. I want to wade again into a controversial area. You will find that the provision you need is already waiting for you. Just on the controversial area, just on the other side of your decision to act